justice for all.
Good evening. I'll have the clerk please call the roll.
Supervisor Fountain?
Here.
Treasurer Horning?
Here.
Clerk Chofew? Here. Trustee Collier?
Here.
Trustee Germain?
Here.
Trustee Harper? Absent. Trustee Petrucci?
Here.
Thank you. Item number 4 is approval of our meeting agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Treasurer Horning, second by Trustee Petrucci. Is there any discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Call to the public. Anybody this evening for call to the public? Nobody at call to the public. We'll move on to item number 6, which is approval of our consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda. Support.
Motion by Trustee Germain, second by Trustee Kalani. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item number 7 is a budget hearing. We'll start with the resolution. Actually, Manager Wickman's going to go through the process.
I'll make a motion
first.
to open the public hearing. Is it a public hearing?
Yeah, but we're just going to do it after James does his thing.
Oh, okay.
So.
I'll give a summary. And,
Yeah.
And
So, James, you have the floor.
well, we should probably make his thing part of the hearing.
public hearing.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
I support that.
Motion by Treasurer Horning, second by Trustee Kalani. Is this part of the resolution?
It's part of the hearing, and then
So it's part of the resolution.
ultimately, yeah,
It's just a motion to open the hearing.
open the hearing.
Then we'll do a second motion to do the resolution?
Right.
Yes.
You move to close the hearing and then,
Then do the resolution? Very good. All those in favor to open the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Mr. Wickman.
thank you, Mr. Supervisor. We have gone through our budget process, and first want to cover, of course, our truth in taxation. This is our best estimate because of the timing of our fiscal year and the time at which these are finalized in the summertime. This is our estimate what property tax millage rate will be levied. We, of course, have the 0.78 mills that has been decreasing in recent years because of Headley rollback, the fire millage, and then the road millage, which you can see has decreased just from in 5 years from this, where it started at 1.5. So this was also, this hearing as well as this notice is properly posted in the paper. The budget itself, just a quick overview of the general fund. General fund revenue, of course, we've talked about, may not be understood by many residents. You know, half of our funding comes from shared revenue. That's the local government's share of sales tax revenue, significant funding of local government in Michigan. About a fifth of our revenue, or really a good quarter to a third of it, is from property taxes and administration of property taxes. And then we have other revenues make up another about a third of our revenue, other fees and cable franchise agreement and whatnot. Those revenues are not going up fast. We're pretty meager the next couple of years, less than 2% a year. On the expenditure side, we of course did have we cut the budget last year for the first time in years, where last year's budget was actually less than the year before. Because of good planning and spending and saving, we've been able to put a little bit back into some of our programs and still maintain a better budget reserve than we did the year before, and we're projecting an even better one for the next year when that comes around. But a number of departments in the general fund itself are accounted for there. Of course, there are other special funds for water, sewer, roads, things like that. And our condensed version of that, where we've just sort of generalized general government costs, planning, zoning, community projects, capital projects, reserves are broken down as you see there. So that's a very quick flyover of the general fund, which is a little over a $2 million budget. Of course, there's other funds that add to that. And we will have a copy, line item copy of the budget available on our website following the board's adoption, and we communicate that regularly throughout the year with residents.
Manager Wickman, I'd like to maybe have you give a little bit more detail on the unallocated, the 530, and maybe give a brief, how we came up with that number and how that fits into our budget process.
Sure. This is what we call a reserve. It's labeled community projects. There's a number of ways to look at that. These are funds that are not spent on routine operations. They're put into the capital projects fund because we already have a good fund balance in the general fund. And those are the funds that are used to invest in community assets. The board, over the years, has made an intentional policy of using the residents' tax dollars to invest in long-term capital assets, community assets, parks, sidewalks, things of that nature. So that money is put there and used for that purpose, and you've obviously seen a number of those projects happen over the years. That's also there for other needs. At one time, we did have a contract with the sheriff. For now, that doesn't necessarily make sense for us. Who knows what the future will hold, and that you have room in your budget to make those decisions down the road. So that was the goal, is to have a healthy reserve within the budget for those future decisions.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? I'll entertain a motion to close this portion, then we'll open up the public hearing, or is this still part of it?
Is everybody?
You have to ask.
If there's nothing here, I'll open the meeting up for public comment. Yes, Glenn, if you'd like to come up here to the microphone, please. Thank you.
Hi there. I appreciate all the time that Susan spent with me going over the budget and explaining everything, answered all my questions. And there's one thing I didn't find, and that is where the penny per gallon from the transfer station is shown in the budget anywhere. She told me it was under the sewer fund, but I've been told it's accumulated about $1 million, and I think that would be quite noticeable in the budget somewhere.
James, you want to answer that?
Yeah, it is in the sewer fund. Mm-hmm. It's accumulated that over several years.
Right.
It's a couple $100,000, I think, this year. So it'd show up in revenue in the 590 fund, sewer operations and maintenance.
Oh, okay.
So that's where you'd find it in the budget that we'll publish, and we have a copy if you'd like one.
Oh, okay. I just didn't happen to find that particular item.
It's listed as septage receiving station. It's a hosting fee. I don't know if it's labeled that, but yeah.
No. I had one other comment about revenues related to the township, but I don't know if it doesn't really apply to your budget hearing. I could, if you have another call to public or anything, I could ask it then. Or it's related to the here in Clinton Metropolitan Authority money that we pay on our tax bill yearly, and Kathy got me information from the county clerk, and apparently this law is from 1939 that authorizes the county to have this, collect this tax, and it was voted on in 1940. And since then, I know when we had fire millages years ago, there had to be a limit on how long tax revenues could be collected without a vote on it, and if 80 years has gone by since there's even been any action on this, it doesn't seem quite right to me anyway. But that's nothing you people would be able to probably know about or answer. That's just something I've been looking into.
Hang on 1 second.
The county probably passes it each year in there.
Metro Parks, was that a state millage when they did
No,
that?
the Metro Parks is a millage that was adopted by all the
Right.
three counties, Wayne, Oakland,
Right.
and Macomb.
That's
And
5
that is a
counties.
perpetual millage per statute of .25.
Right.
It's been rolled back to
Right.
.18
Right.
mill, and they've never voted to renew up to, because they don't want to open it up, I think.
Right.
But
So his question was is that into perpetuality?
It's-
Right, that's the
perpetual.
question. Does this go on for
It's perpetual,
ever?
yeah.
It is
Yeah.
forever.
Yep, and the way they do they have two sources of revenue.
Right,
And that, well, a third source, but it's really related to the one source. The one is obviously the fees, and the other is the ad valorem taxes that they receive
Right.
as part of.
okay, because I've
actually-
had people ask me from the community, what is this for? They think it's a Heartland, some kind of Heartland Park Fund, because they don't even know what the
No, the Metro Park
Metropolitan
Fund
Authority
is
is.
Right.
So it's actually
but-
5 counties.
5 counties, you're right.
Yep.
You're right.
Right.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
So every business.
Livingston and
Right.
Washington are
Washington.
part of that, too.
That's,
Okay.
You're right.
Yep.
Sorry.
That's all I have. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else this evening? Call to the public. Being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Support. Motion by trustee Kalani, second by trustee Germain. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. And then we can go into, I believe, the resolution for the 2020 General Appropriations Act. I'll entertain a motion for that.
I'll move to approve the resolution to establish a general appropriation act for the 2020 fiscal year.
Support.
Motion by Treasurer Horning, second by Clerk Schofu. Is there any other discussion? Being none, I'll have the clerk please call the roll.
Supervisor Fountain?
Yes.
Trustee Harper, absent. Clerk Chopu, yes. Trustee Germain?
Yes.
Treasurer Horning?
Yes.
Trustee Petrusi? Yes. Trustee Collier?
Yes.
Thank you. And we'll go to item number 7B, which is approval of the Fire Authority budget. And I'll move that to Manager Whitman.
Yes, as part of the bylaws for the Fire Authority, each board of the respective townships has a role in approving that budget individually. And we've reviewed that, of course, in the last work session with the chief. And so a motion is offered for your consideration.
And James, just so other people might know how that works, there's 2 board members from each community, and then there's 1 at large. They come up with the fire chief with the proposed budget, and then they come to us, and we kind of go over it and share some thoughts and ideas. And I think it's important for people to understand that there are a portion of that budget that goes towards capital equipment on an annual basis to help pay for things down the road.
A significant portion. They have a lot of capital, and it moves around and it wears out and it has to be replaced.
Yeah. Any questions for Manager Wickman? Being none, I'll entertain a motion for the Fire Authority budget.
I'll move to approve the Fire Authority budget as presented.
Support.
Motion by trustee Petrusi, second by clerk Schofu. This is just a regular vote. This isn't a resolution.
Go
is it?
ahead and do a resolution.
Resolution. The clerk please call the roll.
Trustee Petrusi?
Yes.
Clerk Chopu, yes. Trustee Germain?
Yes.
Trustee Collier?
Yes.
Supervisor Fountain?
Yes.
Treasurer Horning?
Yes.
Trustee Harper, absent.
Thank you. Item number 8A is a plan development agreement amendment for Hartland Town Square. Good evening. Do you guys want to come up? This is for an amendment for a new Panda Express. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to our liaison to the Planning Commission, Mr. Kalani. And if you could just, by the way, welcome.
Thank you.
And if you want to just tell us your name and where you're from.
My name is Dina Mikawi. I'm from Nor Architects in Detroit.
Okay,
Eric Miller with Atwell, Shelby Township.
thank you. And Mr. Kalani?
Ross Gallant.
Oh, and Ross is here from Ramco. Good evening.
Ross Galantine with RPT Realty.
Oh,
We're rebranding.
thank you.
This matter came before the Planning Commission a couple of weeks ago, I believe, and it involves the proposed amendment to the plan development and site plan application. The number is 19-002. Request to construct approximate 2,300 square foot Panda Express restaurant with 1 drive-through window within the Hartland Town Square development, outlet number 8. The issues that were presented it was the recommendation of the Planning Commission to proceed and approve this, but one of the issues that came up was there's a limit in the plan development agreement with regard to drive-through restaurants. There's several drive-throughs, but there was only 2 dedicated for restaurants. This would the developer is asking as part of this process to amend the PD to permit this drive-through restaurant as well. Other than that, there weren't too many other issues that came up as a result of this application. And again, it was approved by the Planning Commission with the recommendations set forth in our documentation that's before the Township Board.
So the reason it's before the Township Board is because it is an amendment to the PD?
It is an amendment to the PD.
If it wasn't an amendment, it would have been, it's basically already been approved.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, just you are not approving the site plan, you're just approving the PD amendment.
The PD amendment, correct.
And I did just want to mention clarification on one of the conditions listed by the planning director. Wanted to make sure that it was clear this wasn't for this development per se. There is this issue with the private roads that go through that development.
Oh, yeah. How the Rovey Drive and
the land splits are happening, and this you're starting to see a road that could be on its own, and we don't want to see that. So just a general condition that for the next development that comes in, that we want to clean that up. So that is a part of the conditions, but it doesn't hold up this applicant.
Yes, Russ?
I just want to clarify that. Obviously, RPT has an obligation, and I think we've shown that over the last 11 years. We still have 49 acres. We know we have to maintain the road. There's the PD that applies, and there's also an OEA with the Myers and the Imagine, who has a right to fix the road if they feel it's falling down and we're not doing our job. I just want to make sure, and James clarified, I want to make sure it doesn't hold up Panda. They can start, if you guys pass it, they can start construction and get the drive-through in spring. And I do understand the lawyers are both talking from the township. Mike and our lawyer, Vince, are talking and trying to work out. It's a very unusual situation. We've never been in before to try to, because we're going to be around for a while. That's our plan. We've been around. I just want to make sure it doesn't affect the Panda.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions for either Manager Wickman or the applicant?
If we approve the recommended action from Troy tonight, then, and with the Planning Commission's prior approval, is the applicant able to proceed without coming to the Township Board again?
I believe so.
Correct, yes.
This is just a PD amendment.
It's just a PD.
So then for the purpose of the public who's viewing, and since we have these experts here, can you just give us the 2-minute view of the architecture and the location of the facility and things of that nature?
I think James is going to, he's going to try to do this up on the screen for us.
Which was also presented at the Planning Commission.
Yeah.
So.
So this is freestanding fast food Asian restaurant with a drive-through. The square footage of the building is 2,300 square foot. It's a prototype building. For the requirements for Hartland, we changed the look of it to include the brick. Usually the prototype, it comes with the eaves finishes with the stone base, but we know that Hartland required brick, so we changed that. It has a stone base in the bottom and the rest of the building brick. The top portion, as you see, it's composite wood decking material to form these 2 towers in the front and the back. The building will be located in the Hartland Plaza, and I can't remember how much parking spot we have in It's gonna be next to Taco Bell, the lot
Okay.
next to Taco Bell. We are showing, and also I would like to confirm that the trash enclosure will be fully screened and will match the building finish. Will have the same brick as shown in the building. We have also a bike rack added, which a plus. We have 9 stacking for the drive-through, 9 spaces. The last meeting we had some comments from Martha about the landscape, and I think we took care of that in our drawings.
Matt, does that cover your question?
Does.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? Being none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve site plan application number 19002, specifically to amend the Hartland Town Square PD agreement based on the criteria and conditions outlined in the planning director's recommended action memo dated February 27th, 2019.
Support.
Motion by trustee Germain, second by trustee Kalani. Is there any other discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Welcome to Hartland.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to item number 9A, which is another resolution. This is kind of just an upgrade of one we did, just I believe at our last meeting, just corrected a couple items. Is that correct, Manager Wickman?
Yeah, there were some exhibits inadvertently omitted, and so the bond attorney asked that we put it back on.
Did you want to say anything,
Yes,
Joe?
just to make sure that folks know, our bond counsel, that is the township's bond counsel, is with the law firm of Clark Hill. We've had Mr. John Axon and his associate as our bond counsel for some time. Subsequently, I've been now employed by Clark Hill. So for this particular matter, I'm going to abstain from voting, although I believe under the Michigan law I could vote on this. I don't, obviously, it's a big firm, it's a big company. I don't receive any type of compensation from this particular matter or on behalf of the township, but I wanted to make sure that that's disclosed to everyone, that my firm is the firm that I work for is actually our township bond counsel.
And again, this was for the Hartland Road improvements that were from Ramco Development, and it's saving them
Interest.
significant amount of money.
$440,000 of interest.
Yeah. Okay, if there is nothing else on that, I'll entertain a motion for the resolution.
It's a resolution, so we'll need not only a motion, but you'll need to do a roll call.
Right.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for the refunding of the bonds not to exceed $4,200,000.
Second.
Special assessment refunding bond series 2019.
Second.
Motion by Clerk Schofu, second by Treasurer Horning. Is there any discussion? Being none, I'll have the clerk please call the roll.
Treasurer Horning?
Yes.
Trustee Collier, abstain.
Abstain.
Supervisor Fountain?
Yes.
Trustee Harper, absent. Trustee Petrucci?
Yes.
Trustee Germain?
Yes.
Clerk Chofiu, yes.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is board reports. We're already into our first meeting in March, and start with Trustee Petrucci.
No report tonight.
Clerk Schofu,
No report.
Treasurer Horning.
tax collection is over, and we're in the process of balancing with the county, and everything is balanced to date. Interesting fact was we had so much come in the last 2 weeks, $4 million, which is a lot for our total roll of 11. We collected 99% of our summer tax roll. That is the highest since I've been here. It normally falls between, the lowest I think was 94 during the bad years, and it's running around 96. We collected 99% this year, and of the winter roll, we collected 97%. So it was really a good tax. It just says something great about Hartland, I think, that our
Did our people pay their taxes?
No, really.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, but it actually, but that point is actually good for, from a bonding standpoint, because as you do your notice of sale, one of the issues is, you know, what's our collection record and things like that. So it does help overall when we finance improvements in the township, how well we collect our taxes.
Did you have anything else, Kat?
Nope, that's it for me.
Trustee Claney?
I have no.
Trustee Germain?
No report.
So just a quick report. We had board review organization meeting this morning, and we have the biggest taxable value ever. You have to go all the way back to 2007, where we had $1.69 billion worth of taxable value. We are now at $1.773 billion in taxable value. We added $58 million worth of taxable value this year. Out of that 57.9 million, 42 million was in housing, decks, and pools and that type of thing. So the number of houses this year, I believe, was 212 new housing starts. Last year was 232 roughly. So it was a little bit down. Our sales were down, but a lot of that was due to lack of inventory. That's what we've heard through the street. So, and board review is next week, Monday and Wednesday. If you're looking to have an appointment, we do have the time available, a lot of time available. We have roughly 25 applicants so far. For most of them are on Monday. But call the treasurer's office if you would like to come in to the board review, and we look forward to seeing you if you want to come in. I have nothing else at this point. We'll take a brief recess, and then we'll go talk about roads in the manager's report. Thank you. Okay, shut this guy off. I'll bring this over there.